Top secret Tata EVs. That's our cover story this month. And as the cover says, we reveal Tata's master plan to dominate the EV market. So the EV space, it's really getting hot. Everyone's into the EV race. But what's clear is that Tata Motors has taken a strong lead. And they want to make that lead even stronger and move away from the rest of the pack. Now, what's helping Tata Motors is that they have just in a master stroke raised external funding of $1 billion. That's about 7,500 crores from TPG Rise Climate to fund an electric car division. And that's not all. The total investment is going to be $2 billion. That's 15,000 to 16,000 crores. So with that massive war chest, Tata Motors is going to launch an array of EVs. Now, the chairman, Mr. N. Chandrasekaran, has said that the company is going to have a 10 EV portfolio in the next 5 years. We're going to be looking at that portfolio, but before that, let's take a look at Tata Motors' strategy for EVs. Now, the strategy fundamentally is a 3-platform strategy. The first platform is the one with which the Nexon EV was launched. It's basically an IC engine platform, which they have just done a quick conversion to EV, really not modified everything and got that out into the market. And we've seen the success of that. The Nexon and even the Tigor EV, both of them having around 70% market share in just a launch which was done in 2020. Going further, Tata Motors are going to start developing their own EV platforms. They're going to be taking the Alpha architecture, which underpins a whole range of small cars like the Altroz, the Punch, and they're going to make that electrified or make an electrified platform. That's called the Sigma platform. Now, what happens there is that they're going to make the floor pan completely flat. They're going to remove the transmission tunnel. They're going to remove other areas which would otherwise be used by internal combustion mechanicals and make it as flat and efficient floor as possible. Now, off this platform, what we know is that the Sierra EV is going to be making a comeback. Yes, we had seen the Sierra EV, and at that time, Tata Motors said this was going to be for electrification. But now it's back on the table, and there will be no internal combustion version of that. That is going to be coming back from Tata Motors. We don't know what the other platforms models really are on the Sigma, but what we can hazard a guess, or what we have estimated, that it will be models like the Punch and the Altroz. Now, a lot of you have been asking what is happening to the Altroz EV. There is a plan. Well, on the existing Alpha architecture, which was for the IC engine, the ground clearance was believed to be a little low. So they might just wait and develop the Altroz on the Sigma platform, where all these clearances are optimized and is more suitable for an electric car with the right ground clearance and that sort of thing. But before that, they are going to launch something which is quite a surprise, and that is the Nexon Coupe, which again we've covered in this issue. Now, that really is a very, very clever product. Now, Tata Motors has been trying to fill that mid-size SUV gap, that gap between the Nexon and the Harrier. And really, they've been looking for a platform. That's one of the reasons why they want to collaborate with Volkswagen. Then they want to look at collaborating with Chery, with Geely, just to fill that gap, because that is a sweet spot to develop a Creta Fighter, a 4.2, 4.3 meter SUV. But now what they're doing is that they're elongating the Nexon into a longer or a more of a mid-size vehicle with a coupe body style. So it's going to be about 4.3 meters long. The wheelbase largely unchanged, but what we heard, it might increase a bit with some wheel geometry changes. But really the big news will be on behind the B pillar, where you'll get a longer door, a more flowing roof line, a bigger boot, and that boot also will be taken up by the batteries. Because the Nexon Coupe is going to be launched fundamentally as an EV, it probably will get a bigger battery. Now, we know that the Nexon is getting a bigger battery for more range, a 40 kilowatt hour battery. It's likely that will also get into the Nexon Coupe, but also the Nexon Coupe will have IC engines as well. The 1.5 diesel, by the time it comes out, it will be upgraded to BS6 norms. So with that, you might even get a bump up in power. And the petrol, what we hear is that the 1.2, that's not going to be suitable, the 1.2 of the Nexon for a bigger and heavier vehicle. Besides, with the 1.2, you no longer get the tax benefits because the Nexon Coupe is more than 4 meters long. So it's very likely they're going to again bring back the 1.5 turbo petrol, which again Tata had confirmed that they were developing at the Auto Expo. We spoke to them at the Auto Expo in Feb 2020, and they had confirmed that that was on the table, and we believe that is back. So the Nexon Coupe will be coming in both EV and IC versions. Still will take some time. Now the final plan of Tata Motors, like most OEMs or most manufacturers looking at the EV space, is to develop a skateboard. Now a skateboard is an absolutely grounds up platform for electrification only. And the advantage of a skateboard again is that it is optimized for space. It has a long wheelbase, optimized to take as big a battery pack as possible, optimized for space efficiency. And when you don't have constraints of packaging a lump of an engine, you can really have a lot of flexibility. Now cars we've seen on this, and the cars which I've recently driven, are the Ioniq 5, which is a great example of how good a skateboard architecture can be. That was a great car to drive. But before that, let's look at Tesla. Teslas have all been born of skateboards and really set the trend for what a skateboard can do. And that's going to be the final step for Tata Motors. Other OEMs, other manufacturers are also looking at that. But what we hear is that they are still assessing what to do. They are benchmarking other skateboards, and that still is a long time away. But clearly, it's a strategy. It's a 3-platform strategy. Work has started on all 3 of them simultaneously. It's just when products will come out will be in different phases depending when the market is ready for that. So really a fantastic strategy from Tata Motors to really lead the EV race. From what we know is that they are way ahead of the pack, and they are determined to keep their lead for this decade.